Ladies and gentlemen, 2026 is not special because it is new. It is special because you are standing at the door of it. Most people drift into a new year with hope, but without intention. They make wishes instead of decisions. They wait for motivation instead of building discipline. And by the time the year ends, they wonder where the time went. This year must be different. If you want 2026 to pay you back, you must invest differently. If you want better results, you must bring a better philosophy. If you want change, you must change first. A new year arrives with excitement, hope, and the illusion that time itself has the power to transform a life. People say this will be the year everything changes, as if the turning of a calendar page carries magic. But years do not improve people. Numbers do not create progress. Time passes whether growth happens or not. The truth is uncomfortable for many, yet freeing once understood. Nothing changes unless the individual changes. The year is neutral. It brings the same mornings, the same hours, the same challenges, and the same opportunities it brings to everyone else. What separates outcomes is not the year itself, but the person who lives inside it. Many enter a new year expecting better results while carrying the same habits, the same thinking, the same reactions, and the same excuses. They want improved income, stronger relationships, better health, and greater confidence. Not yet they resist improving the disciplines required to earn those results. Growth does not come from hoping the year will be kinder. Growth comes from deciding to be stronger. When someone understands this, they stop waiting for circumstances to change and start changing themselves. That shift alone creates momentum. The calendar does not wake anyone up early. The year does not force anyone to read, learn, practice, or improve. Those actions come from personal choice. If the same choices are repeated, the same results will follow, regardless of how new the year feels. This is why some people look back at the end of the year, shocked by how little has changed, while others experience dramatic progress. They lived in the same year, but not with the same philosophy. Once it becomes clear that responsibility is personal, power returns. There is no longer a need to blame the economy, the past, other people, or bad timing. Blame weakens progress, while responsibility strengthens it. When someone says, "My life changes when I change," they step into control. That mindset turns obstacles into teachers and setbacks into feedback. Instead of asking why life is difficult, they ask what skills, habits, or thinking must improve to handle it better. A powerful year is built internally before it shows externally. It starts with improved self-talk, higher standards, and intentional behavior. The year responds to effort. It rewards preparation. It multiplies discipline. It reflects back whatever is consistently practiced. Those who grow wiser, more skilled, and more focused find that opportunities seem to increase, not because the year favors them, but because they are prepared to recognize and use what was always available. When a person stops expecting the year to deliver success and instead commits to becoming the kind of individual who deserves it, everything shifts. Goals become clearer. Time is used more carefully. Energy is invested instead of wasted. Progress becomes measurable, not emotional. The year becomes a tool rather than a hope. It no longer carries the burden of transformation because that responsibility has finally been accepted by the one who wakes up each day to do the work. Progress begins the moment a decision is made that is strong enough to override comfort. Many people confuse wishing with deciding, yet the difference between the two is vast. A wish hopes conditions will improve. A decision commits to improvement regardless of conditions. Life changes direction only after a firm decision is placed at the center of daily behavior. Without that decision, effort is scattered. Motivation rises and falls, and discipline remains optional. With it, actions gain clarity and persistence. Indecision is costly. It keeps people standing at the crossroads of potential and familiarity, endlessly evaluating but never advancing. When no clear decision is made, default habits take control. Old patterns repeat themselves, not because they are desired, but because they are familiar. This is why many people feel stuck even while staying busy. Activity without direction produces fatigue, not progress. A true decision cuts through confusion and assigns meaning to effort. Once a decision is made, standards are established. Standards determine what is acceptable and what is no longer tolerated. When standards are low, excuses are allowed to negotiate outcomes. When standards are raised, excuses lose their authority. A person who decides that lateness, inconsistency, or neglect is no longer acceptable begins to act differently without needing constant motivation. Behavior naturally aligns with the new standard. Clear decisions also simplify life. They reduce internal debate. Instead of asking each day whether to do the work, the answer has already been given. The decision was made earlier, when clarity was high and emotion was low. This is why successful individuals decide in advance how they will live, work, and respond. They do not leave important choices to convenience or mood. Direction is chosen deliberately. Direction determines destination. Small daily actions, when aligned with a clear decision, accumulate power. Without direction, even strong effort leads nowhere. With direction, even modest effort creates momentum. A decision does not guarantee immediate results, but it guarantees movement. Movement builds confidence. Confidence strengthens commitment. Commitment sharpens focus. Focus accelerates growth. Many underestimate the weight of a single decision. One decision can change reading habits, health routines, financial discipline, relationships, and self-respect. It draws a line between who someone has been and who they are becoming. That line creates identity. People do not rise to the level of their hopes. They live according to the level of their decisions. The strongest decisions are not loud or dramatic. They are quiet, internal commitments followed by consistent action. No announcement is required. Proof appears in behavior. When a decision is real, it reshapes priorities. Time is protected. Energy is guarded. Distractions lose their appeal because they no longer serve the direction chosen. Life does not respond to intention alone. It responds to decision-backed action. The moment someone decides with clarity and acts with discipline, circumstances begin to reorganize. Opportunities align with readiness. Resources appear in response to effort. Progress becomes predictable, not accidental. A clear decision turns potential into a path and effort into results. Success rarely arrives through sudden breakthroughs. It is usually the result of small, repeated actions that seem insignificant in the moment, but become powerful over time. Daily discipline works quietly, without drama or applause, yet it shapes outcomes more reliably than bursts of enthusiasm. What a person does consistently matters far more than what they do occasionally. Small habits practiced every day build the foundation upon which larger achievements stand. Many people overestimate what they can accomplish in a short period and underestimate what they can achieve over a year. This misunderstanding leads to frustration. When results do not appear quickly, effort is abandoned. But growth follows a law of accumulation. Just as interest compounds in finance, personal habits compound in life. Reading 10 pages a day may seem minor, but over a year it becomes dozens of books. Saving a small amount regularly may feel slow, but over time it creates security. Practicing a skill for a short time daily builds mastery without overwhelming pressure. Discipline removes the need for constant motivation. Motivation is emotional and unstable. Discipline is behavioral and reliable. When a habit is established, action happens even when desire fades. This is why disciplined individuals appear consistent, while others struggle. They are not stronger, they are structured. Their routines carry them forward when feelings fluctuate. Neglect follows the same law. Small omissions, repeated daily, quietly create decline. Skipping learning, delaying planning, ignoring health, or avoiding responsibility may not cause immediate damage, but over time the cost becomes visible. Regret is often the result of small neglects, accumulated over months and years. The danger lies not in dramatic mistakes, but in daily indifference. Every day presents a choice between discipline and neglect. The choice seems minor, almost invisible, yet it is decisive. Doing what is easy now creates difficulty later. Doing what is difficult now creates ease later. This trade-off is constant and unavoidable. Those who understand it choose discipline early to avoid regret later. Consistency also builds identity. Repeated actions reinforce self-image. When someone keeps small promises to themselves, confidence grows. Trust in one's ability increases. The person begins to see themselves as reliable, capable, and in control. That identity fuels further progress. Confidence is not a personality trait. It is the result of kept commitments. Time magnifies whatever is practiced. It rewards consistency and punishes neglect. The same amount of time passes for everyone, but the results differ because the daily choices differ. The gap between where someone starts and where they end up is created by what they do with ordinary days. Small disciplines do not require heroic effort. They require awareness and commitment. When practiced daily, they become automatic. When they become automatic, progress becomes inevitable. The accumulation of disciplined actions shapes results quietly but powerfully, turning ordinary days into extraordinary outcomes. Real change is rarely dramatic. It does not announce itself with excitement or instant reward. It shows up quietly in daily routines, in the small choices made when no one is watching. The most powerful force shaping a person's future is not intensity, but consistency. Small disciplines, practiced daily, create momentum that eventually becomes unstoppable. What feels insignificant today gains strength through repetition and time. Many people wait for a surge of motivation before they act, believing energy must come first. But motivation is unreliable. It rises and falls with mood, environment, and circumstance. Discipline, on the other hand, does not depend on feeling ready. It depends on commitment. When an action becomes a habit, it no longer requires emotional negotiation. It simply becomes part of the day, like waking up or eating a meal. The mistake most people make is believing progress must feel big to matter. They overlook the power of incremental improvement. Improving a skill slightly each day compounds into mastery. Making small, healthier choices daily reshapes energy and confidence. Spending a few minutes planning each day creates clarity and control. None of these actions feel life-changing in the moment, yet over months they transform results. Time is neutral, but it is never wasted. It always multiplies whatever behavior is practiced. Disciplined practice daily produces growth. Neglect practice daily produces decline. The effect is subtle at first, which is why many ignore it. But subtle does not mean weak. It means patient. Just as erosion reshapes stone over time, daily habits reshape identity, capability, and outcomes. Small disciplines also remove pressure. Instead of overwhelming goals, attention shifts to manageable actions. Focus is placed on what can be done today rather than what must be achieved eventually. This reduces resistance and increases follow-through. Progress becomes sustainable rather than exhausting. Consistency replaces struggle. Every habit sends a signal to the mind about who a person is. When someone reads daily, they begin to see themselves as a learner. When they exercise consistently, they begin to see themselves as disciplined. When they show up on time repeatedly, they begin to see themselves as reliable. Identity is not formed by intention, but by repeated behavior. This internal shift is often more powerful than external results. Neglect follows the same principle. Skipping effort once feels harmless. Skipping it repeatedly creates a pattern. Over time, missed actions turn into missed opportunities. Regret rarely comes from one poor decision. It comes from many small decisions to delay, avoid, or ignore what mattered. The danger is not obvious until the accumulation reveals itself. Daily discipline builds trust with oneself. Each completed action strengthens self-respect. That trust fuels confidence, and confidence fuels courage. The person becomes more willing to take responsibility, to attempt harder challenges, to aim higher. Progress accelerates naturally. The greatest advantage of small disciplines is their accessibility. They require no special talent, no perfect conditions, no dramatic change. They only require awareness and repetition. Anyone can begin immediately. Anyone can continue tomorrow. When small actions are honored daily, they quietly shape direction, capability, and future results through steady accumulation and deliberate consistency. Many people wait to feel inspired before they take action, believing motivation is the starting point of progress. They tell themselves that once they feel confident, energized, or ready, they will begin. The problem with this approach is that motivation is unpredictable. It depends on mood, environment, encouragement, and comfort. When motivation becomes the requirement, action becomes optional. Progress slows not because ability is lacking, but because consistency is missing. Consistency does not depend on emotion. It depends on commitment. When someone commits to a routine, action happens whether motivation is present or not. This is why consistent individuals often appear calm and steady. They are not driven by excitement. They are guided by structure. Their habits carry them forward on days when energy is low and enthusiasm is absent. Motivation is useful, but it is not reliable. It arrives easily when things are going well and disappears when effort becomes uncomfortable. Discipline remains when motivation leaves. Discipline is a decision repeated daily. It is choosing to act based on values rather than feelings. This choice builds strength over time. Each time action is taken without motivation, confidence increases. The individual learns they can rely on themselves, regardless of mood. Consistency also removes inner conflict. When action is tied to motivation, every task becomes a negotiation. Should I do this now or later? Do I feel like it today? Is this worth the effort? These questions drain energy before the work even begins. Consistency eliminates the debate. The action has already been decided. The routine is followed. Energy is saved for execution rather than decision making. Confidence is often misunderstood as a prerequisite for action. In reality, confidence is a result of repeated action. Each completed task strengthens belief in one's ability. Each kept promise builds trust with oneself. Over time, consistency creates a solid internal foundation. The person no longer needs external encouragement to move forward. Momentum becomes internal. Those who rely on motivation often experience cycles of intense effort followed by long periods of inactivity. This pattern creates frustration and self-doubt. Progress feels unstable. Results feel inconsistent. In contrast, those who prioritize consistency experience steady growth. Their progress may appear slower, but it is durable. What is built through consistency lasts longer than what is built through bursts of energy. Consistency also builds resilience. When challenges arise, routines provide stability. Instead of being thrown off course, the individual continues forward. The habit becomes an anchor. This resilience allows progress even in difficult seasons. Life does not become easier, but the person becomes stronger. Small, consistent actions create rhythm. Rhythm reduces resistance. What once felt difficult becomes normal. What once required effort becomes automatic. Over time, the accumulation of consistent action produces results that motivation alone could never sustain. When consistency becomes the focus, progress becomes predictable. Growth no longer depends on feeling inspired. It depends on showing up. Each day becomes an opportunity to reinforce commitment, strengthen discipline, and move forward regardless of emotion or circumstance. Many people focus their energy on chasing results while ignoring the process that creates them. They want higher income, recognition, confidence, and influence, yet they avoid the personal growth required to support those outcomes. Rewards do not appear first. Growth always comes before them. Life has a natural order, and when that order is ignored, frustration follows. When it is respected, progress becomes steady and predictable. Personal growth begins internally. It starts with improved thinking, expanded awareness, and a willingness to learn. Skills must be developed before they can be rewarded. Character must be strengthened before responsibility can be trusted. Discipline must be built before freedom can be sustained. Skipping these steps leads to instability. Even when success arrives prematurely, it rarely lasts because the individual has not grown enough to manage it. Learning is a form of preparation. Reading, listening, observing, and practicing sharpen ability and judgment. These actions may not produce immediate rewards, but they increase capacity. Increased capacity attracts opportunity. When preparation meets opportunity, progress accelerates. Without preparation, opportunity becomes overwhelming or wasted. Growth also requires honesty. A person must be willing to evaluate their weaknesses without self-judgment. This clarity allows targeted improvement. Ignoring weaknesses does not eliminate them. Addressing them builds strength. Each area of growth reduces resistance in life. What once felt difficult becomes manageable. What once felt overwhelming becomes routine. Income and influence are reflections of value provided. Value increases through growth. When someone improves their skills, communication, problem-solving ability, and reliability, their value rises naturally. Life responds by offering greater responsibility and reward. Attempting to force results without increasing value creates pressure and disappointment. Growth also expands perspective. As understanding deepens, reactions change. Challenges are seen as lessons rather than threats. Setbacks become feedback rather than failure. This shift reduces emotional volatility and increases stability. Stable individuals make better decisions. Better decisions create better results. The desire for quick rewards often undermines long-term success. Shortcuts sacrifice foundation. Sustainable progress requires patience. Growth compounds over time. Small improvements practiced consistently lead to significant transformation. This process may feel slow, but it builds strength that lasts. When growth becomes the priority, results become the byproduct. Focus shifts from chasing outcomes to refining ability. Pressure decreases. Confidence increases. The individual becomes less dependent on external validation and more grounded in self-respect. Life always pays according to growth. When someone becomes more capable, more disciplined, and more aware, their environment responds accordingly. Opportunities align with readiness. Rewards follow value. Growth quietly creates the conditions for success by expanding capacity, strengthening character, and increasing contribution over time. Keynote 6: expand into 500 words. Don't add ending sentences. Don't add any headings. Every future outcome, is built from present action. The life someone lives tomorrow is being constructed by the choices they make today, whether they are aware of it or not. Time moves forward regardless of intention, and it carries the consequences of daily behavior with it. Each action is a vote for the type of future being created. Some votes are deliberate. Others are cast through inaction. Both count. Many people think of the future as something distant and abstract. They believe they will deal with it later, when conditions are better or when they feel more prepared. In reality, the future is shaped in ordinary moments. It is formed in how time is used after a long day, in how money is managed when temptation appears, in how health is treated when comfort is available. These moments seem small, but they accumulate into direction. Delay has a cost. Putting things off feels harmless in the moment, yet delay compounds just like discipline. What is avoided today often returns with greater difficulty tomorrow. Skills not developed become limitations. Responsibilities ignored become burdens. Opportunities postponed become missed. The price of delay is paid gradually, then suddenly. Action builds clarity. Waiting rarely does. Many hesitate because they want certainty before they begin. But certainty grows from movement, not from thought. Taking action reveals strengths, weaknesses, and adjustments needed. Each step forward provides feedback. That feedback guides improvement. Without action, there is no data, only speculation. The future self depends entirely on the present self. The confidence someone wants later is earned by doing difficult things now. The freedom they desire is built through discipline practiced today. The respect they seek is created by honoring commitments in the present. No future version of a person can escape the habits being formed now. Present action also shapes identity. Repeated behavior reinforces self-image. When someone acts responsibly, they begin to see themselves as capable. When they avoid responsibility, they begin to see themselves as limited. Identity influences decision-making. Decisions influence outcomes. This cycle continues whether it is directed or ignored. Urgency does not mean rushing. It means awareness. It means understanding that time is valuable and choices matter. Acting with intention today reduces pressure tomorrow. Progress made now compounds into ease later. Neglect now compounds into difficulty later. The most powerful use of time is alignment. When daily actions align with long-term values, progress becomes meaningful. Life feels purposeful rather than reactive. Even small steps feel significant because they are connected to direction. The future is not created by dramatic moments. It is created by consistent action taken in the present. Each choice either strengthens the path forward or adds resistance to it. What someone does today determines what they live with tomorrow through accumulated habits, reinforced identity, and the compounding effect of time on daily decisions